What is going on, everybody? Mario here in Fighting FX and the champ. Uh, that's right, everybody. Mario and joined alongside with me from the start of the show, Abe Gonzalez, champ, fightsatw.com. What is crack a lacking? Appreciate you being here.
Yo, what's the deal?
Oh, man. Bam, bam, bam. Yo, did you happen to catch any part of my live from Cena?
No,
Oh,
I
I
didn't.
crashed out. I crashed out hard. Crashed out super hard. We're gonna play some of it later with the bleeps and everything.
Yo, but
Yeah,
I
I
tell
broke
you
a
what,
tablet. I broke a tablet live on air on accident. Yeah, it was a pretty unhinged like 20 minutes.
yo, did WWE not use my idea of the bringing in Joe Hendry as like a mystery opponent
Bro,
of
you
sorts?
called it. You called it. You called it.
He just didn't do it. They just didn't do it with the Cena, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
had
yeah.
said it
You
was going to
called
happen
Cena
on
as a
that
match,
night.
but that's the thing is, here's the thing. I'm gonna give you a pass. You know why? Because look, you called it twice. You called the moment that he was no longer over, right? Had WWE listened to you at the moment that you had called for it, I think it would have gone like gangbusters. I think he really would have been helped by John Cena's power and allure. What did you think of it though? I mean, they had the time to do it. Like, did it hit? Did it not? I personally think it was a bit of a flop. Don't get me wrong, it was a great spot for him, but I just think that the whole gimmick was over by then.
Yeah, but the pop told me differently.
Yeah, really, I expected it to be bigger. I did. I mean, I
I
know Mania is unfair to compare it to, but that night, even if you didn't know, you pretended to know who the hell Joe Hendry was because you didn't want to be left out. I didn't see a lot of people. Like, I don't know. What did you
Well,
liked
well,
it though?
but yeah, you know what it is though. Also, they didn't give him the whole ring entrance, like he just appeared. You know what I mean? And I think that they kind of cut their own legs off with that. They didn't give him the mania pop when they went, zoomed all the way into the thing, and then he was in the background and all that. They didn't give him none of that. They just gave him he came into the ring and that was it. So I think they kind of did it to themselves. However, the pop was still there. Uh, can't say the same about Austin Theory. No pop.
No pop, no pop, no pop. Your pop, his pop,
I'm
none.
just saying.
Yo, Ed Bex did call out a theory as the best man, but so did like 90% of the internet. No, he did tell me though, like right after though. So I'm gonna give him credit for that because he texted me personally. Whether he put it online, I have no idea. And then Matt confirming, yeah, I crashed out. Matt was Matt's here to confirm there was a major crash out, and we're gonna go
But
through
you
it. Don't
but you
worry.
know what though? Matt Hardy had probably the best explanation, period.
I saw him say something. Can you remind me?
Yeah, I mean it was pretty lengthy.
You don't have to even do it verbatim if you want to just,
Yeah, no,
say
but you have to because of what he
poetic.
said. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up right now so that because he hit the nail on the head, and if you're understanding what he's saying, then it makes sense. Right here. All right. He said, as Cena's been saying publicly, his body has been breaking down and he can't take the in-ring abuse anymore. John has lived with the pressure of carrying WWE on his back for 2 decades,
Yikes.
which is stressful. It was his final match after getting out of Gunther's sleeper multiple times. After getting locked in it, the final time he was physically and mentally spent. He had nothing left to give. I think Cena came to the realization that he didn't have to fight anymore, didn't have to carry the company anymore, didn't have to live up to his unrealistic expectations anymore. He
Oof.
just let go. John found solace in finally being able to quit, hence the smirk. In his mind, he didn't tap out, he clocked out and was walking away from the burden of being the face and the flag bearer of WWE. John Cena finally let go and found the euphoric. His 23-year journey was finally finished. Boom.
That is fucking poetic, dude. That is poetic.
I mean, talk about nailing it. He nailed that.
He nailed it, dude. He absolutely
So
nailed it. How does this look? I think it's gonna
if
look
you're
like
mad, you
shit.
hear that, you're not mad anymore.
How does that looks like shit, right? Is that too small, Abe?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Okay, fuck it. I'll just take it off. So anyway, I was going to start off with the John Cena, I mean with the theory stuff, but no, I want to start with the John Cena stuff because we didn't really get to talk, you know. It was a busy week for you or weekend, you know, pulling double duty, boxing, writer, editor slash wrestling editor in chief. So I want to know first of all what your immediate okay, first of all, did you even get to see it
I did.
like at it as it happened?
No. I saw it
No,
after the
after.
fact,
Okay, that's why.
but I didn't like look at any of the reactions because I was too busy
But it
watching
was
the Bobby
spoiled
Drag.
for you though.
Um,
You didn't. You knew
yes,
Gunther won before you watched, correct?
yes,
Okay.
I
No,
did.
that's yeah. So when you heard, I want to know your reaction, and then I want to know whether that reaction was confirmed once you saw it. Sitting here today, I also want you to tell me how you felt after it stewed, after you've, you know, been able to kind of, you know, whatever.
Yeah, so when I saw it, I saw the, because you get the headlines from everywhere, right? I mean,
Yep.
everybody was covering this thing. So I saw Gunther wins, blah, blah, blah. I was like, and then that's it. And then I was like, well, let me see how this went down. So when I got home, I watched it and I was like, hmm, I think they missed the mark on that one. Now, couple days removed, I understand why they did it. And it makes the most sense because of how Raw ended up happening and how much of a reaction Gunther got on Raw. So it made sense. But just like Machine Gun Matt said, I mean, he is the new version of the Legend Killer, and that is basically what the road they going down. And it showed by now he's going to be facing AJ Styles. So um, but I mean, yeah, he does. And there ain't nothing, there ain't no debate
Okay.
about that. There's
Okay.
no debate about that. Now the
I hear.
question is, what does he do with it though?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. That's a very good question.
What does he do with it? Who does he face? Like AJ Styles, is that gonna like if he goes on this Randy Orton run type of run with beating legends on their last leg? I mean, after AJ Styles, is it Jericho? And then after Jericho, it's who's the other one that's retiring? Brock, like
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
gonna
know.
retire Brock. Look, I think it's AJ Styles is clearly what they're hinting at next. That was the lasting image we had on TV. Don't forget AJ Styles is next up on the retirement round. And that's kind of where I want to go with this is like I was disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I was super disappointed. First of all, I booked him to win, and I had a really high booking rate this year, Abe. I didn't brag a lot about it, but I was like over 92% in boxing, picking on all the big fights. I was like 95% in wrestling, and it wasn't trying to brag about it. It wasn't like I was trying to brag. I felt like it was so easy this year with wrestling, so many times. This is the one where I went out on a limb because I know the rule. We all know the rule. But let me ask you, where's that rule written? Right? Because if it is written, then it's under the precursor that kayfabe is attached to it. So for all the people that have been saying, well, this is what happens on the way out, and why are you mad? This is on the way out, and everybody knows the rules. No, bullshit. The rule is not that the WWE gets to run a year-long marathon of taking everybody's money for the last time, right? Going on this big John Cena tour where we know what the final match is. That's not the way it's done. That's not the way you pass the torch. So for everybody talking about this rule and the way that it's not written in stone. I understand that better than most of you. And then the second thing is, it wasn't that the loss was the problem. I wasn't mad that he lost. Maybe I was a little ego, tripping based on getting it wrong, but I wasn't mad that he lost. It was how he lost. A lot of people might not know this about me. I was a sick kid. I grew up. When I was born, I had a huge hole in my stomach. I spent the first 10 years of my life mostly in a hospital. I did a 2-month stint at 5 years old at Boston Children's Hospital. Okay, so I understand more than most WWE fans what it means to all those Make-A-Wish kids out there, right? The idea that John Cena lost isn't the hard part to swallow. It's that he gave up. When Undertaker left, they didn't say, hey, you're no longer a dead man. They didn't say after this match, you're going to be alive again. HBK, and I know this sounds so stupid. I said this on the show, but it's like, you can't just like take away his sexy boy. You know what I mean? You can't take away Bret Hart's ability to wear hearts. You can't take away the foundation of the gimmick, especially when that gimmick for the past 2 decades has worked to help kids that had cancer, kids that were in the most vulnerable places in their lives. And again, I get it. It's wrestling. At the end of the day, it's a story, but their stories mean something. Their characters mean something. And if they no longer mean anything, then that is the route that we're going. That is the route that we're on. But ultimately, they could have beaten him without destroying the gimmick. Abe, what is your response to that?
Yeah, listen. Cena is the last of an era where that mattered.
Oof, well said.
Where the whole putting your boots in the middle of the ring and that stuff, you probably won't see that anymore. He's the end of it. And so as much as what you said makes sense, I still think that deep down inside, his thinking is, I need to do this the way I was brought into the game. And that's regardless of what that that may entail, but I'm gonna do this the way I was taught. Now anybody after Cena is probably not going to do that, right? They're just gonna roll out and everything else. There's still that he's cut from a certain cloth type of thing where that matters, and it mattered to him for him to go out the way he did, period. And so can't argue against that. Like, that's how he wanted to roll out. And it kind of gave a nod to all those folks before him that battled during the territory days and all that. And, listen, he's old enough to be around where he wrestled in a ring with Ric Flair. That should tell you everything. That's the era that he's from. That's where he was groomed at. Can't knock him for that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that, first of all, that was like my immediate reaction, right? And again, coming from the place of maybe having more of an emotional connection to that aspect, right? Especially because there is this part of me that feels guilty, being part of the let's hate Cena nation. You know what I mean? I'm from the era. I was a kid when Nirvana was, happening in the punk grunge Seattle. You know what I mean? So like, there's an edge that will always remain in me, and it was highlighted then, and I didn't respect what this guy could really do. I didn't see it. I don't think I even understood wrestling as well, really, as I thought I did. But I look at what happened yesterday. Right. And you said it best, right? With what Matt Hardy said. And even Matt put it up here. He didn't quit. He gave in, right? He gave in. I do love that narrative, especially with the smile, because it was weird at the moment because I wasn't really registering it, right? Because the win came out of nowhere. Let's be honest. I mean, I was shocked that they even ended in that kind of way. But it was like after the win was knocked out of you, right? You see the story went pretty well. If you're going to tell it anyway, that was a way to tell it. But then Gunther goes out there last night and absolutely crushes it. I mean, just toying with the crowd, right? Pretending to leave, coming back, just soaking up all of the heat that he's got. And Abe, I don't know if you're aware, he had to be escorted out of the building in Washington, D.C. at the Capital One Arena because there were fans that were literally after him. I don't know if you saw the post of the kid who was just, letting Gunther have it on the side. He's like, you saw. I mean, this kid, it meant everything to him. And that was
Can't
clear as day.
can't buy that type of heat, bro.
Can't buy that type of heat, bro. You can't. And so at the end of the day, I see it now and I look, holy shit. Gunther is an uber heel. He is an ultra heel now. This might just have worked. Abe, what did you see from Gunther that you hadn't seen before or that you were surprised of maybe? What did he do in his moment? Did he at least in his first appearance since beating Cena capitalize on the heat, in your opinion?
I think he did, but my personal opinion, I still don't see him as a top guy. There's something about him that just, even as a heel, just doesn't fully connect with me. I just don't. I don't see it. I feel like he's like in the Drew McIntyre category, where they always be like the second best guy, but not the guy, unless he takes. This is his opportunity to go from here to here. If he can't do it with this, then he's never going to be the top guy.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Like, and this is going to get into the Austin Theory stuff, right? About giving a lot of chances and doing things to characters that you can't erase from the memories, right? I feel like I'll never know this about you and the other fans, but I feel like one of the reasons you feel the way you do, and you're not alone, there are a lot of fans out there that feel the same way about Gunther, that he's great, that he's a good mid-card heel, that he could even be like vie for the championship at times, right? But never be a top heel. I believe that is what the effect of Jey Uso tapping him out has done. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to beat this dead horse, but the fans remember, right? You don't just chant that from January or from April to December if it doesn't resonate. It resonated. It doesn't make any sense still for that circle to come right back around. And to be honest with you, I think at this point Triple H is just kind of hoping everybody forgets that he tapped out at WrestleMania, because it didn't help Jay, clearly doesn't help Gunther now. And so you wonder, how many mistakes can you make on a character before you have limited their ceiling forever?
But you know what though? Somebody, this guy Jedi Goodman, he made a
oh
good
yeah, I like Jedi on X
recommendation point. If there was ever gonna be a time to do what he said, it would be now. And you bring Triple H out the back and you make him the fucking corporate champion, bro.
I saw you.
And
I saw you comment on somebody's. Was that Jedi's? I think it was Jedi's. Yeah.
And I agree with that 100%.
Time for it. Expand on that. So you want the Mr. McMahon character in the form of Mr. Levesque. Was Triple H, or okay, let me ask you this: how would Triple H's and Stephanie's like main run character differ from what you see from the Mr. Levesque character?
Yeah, because me personally, it can be. I can see it being a blend of Mr. McMahon and Eric Bischoff. So in a way where Triple H is changing booking in the middle of the show because he can.
Oh shit!
You know what I mean?
That's it.
Favor
take that fourth wall down even
Gunther, or if let's say if Gunther, is one of two guys left at the Royal Rumble and he gets thrown out, Triple H throws him back in the ring and says, "No, resume the film." That type of shit.
That type of shit.
Yes.
I like that type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't want to see them try to recreate the Vince Stone Cold dynamic, right? We don't need a Stone Cold character if the Mr. Levesque character can acquiesce a certain energy that pokes directly at the IWC bear. I mean, it doesn't have to be main narratives, just like nods here and there, like little things that Triple H, the character, would have done. You know what I'm saying? But in this form where he's able to really just abuse his power at every level. And that's the thing that's different, is the Mr. McMahon character didn't have, the website that ran the way it does today, and the shop and the social medias and all the many different ways that he could just troll the shit out of us.
Yeah, like he could. For example, two things. One, like if Gunther has a rivalry with somebody, he like, hey, listen, I'm taking your merch off the store right now.
Yo, that
Yo,
would
this shit is
be
blank.
hilarious. Yo, you'd have to cut the guy a check for sure.
Bro,
You'd
yeah,
like,
of
we're
course,
gonna give
but
you
I'm just
like
saying,
5 G's for the month. But yeah, we're taking your
bro,
shit down.
take your shit
That would be,
down.
and here's the thing.
He could do it.
uh the moment that you put it back, you probably give them more buys on that day than they
Yes.
would have even had. You know what I mean? On
Yes.
the time. Oh, dude,
And
I love where
then
you're going with
and
this.
then check this out. On the flip side, also, Triple H can use this opportunity to take shots at Tony K indirectly, openly on the mic. If he's behind Gunther, just like, and we're not gonna do things like so and so
Oh
does
shit.
it.
Yeah.
Yo, take
The
shots at them
mudslingers. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
openly without even having to hesitate because it's all part of story. It's all
Well,
part of good business.
I'll tell you what, it ties into the narrative that is going right now with WWE. Michael Cole said on commentary, and they've used it multiple times now to the point that I think it ends up being some sort of narrative with Gunther, where he said on this night, wrestling beats sports entertainment.
Yeah.
This idea that sports entertainment is dying and it's dead, and that fans don't want the 2010s again, right? They want something different, maybe even a hybrid version of the two
Mhm.
is where the future rests. But I love where you're going with this, and that's what I love right now. So that's where I'm at. Yes, I was upset that John Cena lost. That was the mark in me. That was the sick kid in me, that ended up deadlifting 495, as he got older. And so, like, there's a lot that connects to John Cena for me. And so, but I see it now. I see
Yeah.
the heat. And as Matt said, that's good heat, brother. Oh, that's some good ass heat, brother.
And let me tell you, come that first show in Monday Night Raw in January, people would have already forgotten about the Cena thing because that's
Yeah,
how
I think you're
quickly
right.
it goes.
I think you're right, but the chance will stay the same, right? They'll keep giving him that shit, I think.
Yeah.
So Beck said upset. It was a full blown crash out. I only broke one device. All right. There were people that broke their TV on their wall mounted. All right. So chill. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So transitioning from good heat, brother, to bad heat, brother. Last night, they revealed the mystery man. And if you want to go back and get my takes from Raw, you can go to fightsatw.com. That's fightsaroundtheworld.com. And there you can read what I had to say about the mystery man. As it relates to the show, we're not going to specifically go into the details there. So, definitely go check it out. But what I will say is this: I have hopes that this is not it. Because the mystery man was very covered up. And last night there was that little bit of eye, and it's just different enough to suggest they could continue this bit. And we'll go down that rabbit hole. But Abe, pass or fail, check marker X. Did Austin Theory pass the test last night? Did he get over? What'd you think?
Bro, I sent you that tweet. I still can't unsee that, bro.
Dude,
And you
for
might
real.
have to pull it up. You might have to pull it up because
Yeah,
I
I'll
cannot
pull it.
unsee that.
Oh yeah, I got you.
And while you're doing that, I was really hoping that was going to be Montez Ford. I really thought with the athleticism of this mystery man that was being displayed, I thought it was Montez Ford. That really would have been the way to go and talk about boosting and pushing that singles run. Yeah, that would have been it. Austin Theory, sure. I guess I'm a little, 50-50 on it because I need to see I need to give him the opportunity to speak and what that's going to look like. And then, if he can, somehow pull it off and how he's if he's in a faction, if he's by himself, like all those things will really determine how that moves forward. I mean, he could wrestle. I mean, there was no question. There's a reason why Vince McMahon wanted him as the top guy, right? He wanted him to get the big push, but I think he probably would agree with us in saying that he wasn't ready at that time.
Yeah, you
Vince
might
might
be
have
right,
Vince thought he was ready, but really he wasn't ready. He needed that trip and fall to do that. Yeah. I can't unsee this right here.
bro.
Hit
This is
play.
crazy. It's like just too identical.
I can't unsee that.
Uh.
I can't.
It's the same.
I
Yo, that's
can't unsee that, bro.
crazy. That's crazy. It's like the thing is I don't believe it's even intentional. I think though there's no way that you can't at least comment on it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's just too much. It's just too much right there. Listen, I'm gonna tell you.
Yo, Matt said it too.
What did he say?
He said, I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was Daniel Garcia at first.
Yo,
Yo.
I would have popped for Danny Garcia for sure. Look, it definitely wasn't the way to go. First of all, I think WWE, the only way that this went down the way it did after not doing it immediately on Monday is that the whole thing got out of hand, right? I mean, people were like, "Oh, it's Jake Paul. It's it's going to be Seth Rollins in April. It's going to be Chris Jericho," and the expectations got so high. They were like, "Oops, fuck, let's go ahead and debut this guy immediately so we can take so we can take this next 2 weeks of pre-tape bullshit and duck the heat." And then come back and get everybody what they want. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how it felt like it ended up going down. Now, whether Austin Theory was always supposed to be you know, revealed on this night, whether that's the case or not, you should have pulled the plug. I'm sorry. It was just so first of all, everybody got it right immediately, and that makes Adam Pearce's character look so stupid. The guy that goes on X to tell us what's about to happen on Raw so that we tune in doesn't see everybody on X saying it's Austin Theory and like never once mentioning Austin Theory. Like you thought it could have been Seth Rollins, the guy who's had surgery that makes it so he can't even walk, let alone climb a cage, could have somehow been the number one suspect. But no, you don't follow anyone else on X that, may have led you to believe it was Austin Theory. I don't think Austin Theory is joining the Vision. I think this is either going to go down of one of two ways. One, he is either going to try to get in, like this is him appeasing them to the point where, they eventually let him in and they reveal that it's someone else that's pulling his strings, maybe Seth Rollins. I don't know if they can pull off that much storyline. The only other thing I can see is that Austin Theory is not trying to join the Vision. This is a faction that will slowly reveal itself until the Grand Master pulling the strings is revealed. Maybe Chris Jericho, who knows? There's a lot of people I think at Wrestle Talk and What Culture that think it's going to be Jericho eventually. But Abe, what do you think? What is the direction? Do you expect more mystery men, or do you think that based on the way it went down, they should probably just leave the idea alone for a while?
Yeah,
Somebody
they
needs
should
to
just,
hide that mask.
bro, they should it's already used and abused. Let's just move on for it. Let's see what he's got. Like I said, I don't know which direction, but shit, they better hit a home run with this, because if not, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be all bad.
Yeah, I think you're right. It really could be. So if you had to pick one more mystery guy, okay, that it ends up being like either the person controlling Theory or working hand in hand with Theory, what do you want to see? Chris Jericho? Is it a good position to put Jake Paul in for like a runoff or like a
I
throwaway
think
thing?
I think it's Jake Paul, bro.
You think so?
They're gonna give him a faction.
They're gonna
I mean,
give Logan the faction.
not Jake Paul, Logan Paul. I'm sorry, Logan Paul.
Oh, you think it? Oh, okay. They're gonna give
Yeah,
Logan the faction.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
and and he might end up getting Paul Heyman at some point. And Braun just
ooh,
be doing his own thing.
I like that. I like that idea. Listen, I know you ran out of time here. So I
I,
would
I got
just
a I got a quick 10, a
okay,
solid
cool.
10.
Perfect. So real quick, going into Oh shit, where is this thing? I wanted to pull up this clip for you. But going into what they were able to deliver last night, the first night after John Cena's departure, a bunch of like people are commenting on a specific sports economist who essentially is forecasting a downturn in economics for WWE based on the fact that John Cena was a major draw to their 2025 run, and has a uh I can't remember what the percentage was, but he was responsible for like the biggest percentage of any one superstar to the total revenue that WWE has made over like a certain amount of time. So he's forecasting a downturn in economics. Abe, how much should WWE worry about a John Cena-less era? And is there anyone that you think that could even remotely fill those jorts?
I don't think that there's. Listen, business was good this year, and he was, there. Obviously, he had his retirement run. Even last year when he wasn't really around, business was still good. I think that the business will be all right. What the WWE is doing is smart, though. They're taking their show on the road first, knowing that Cena is not part of the equation anymore. So, that January run, they're going Japan, I think, right? And then they
Mhm.
go into Rumble in Saudi Arabia. Then they announced that they're doing the PLE in May in Greece.
Yep.
I think it was Greece or Italy. Uh, I don't know where. It was somewhere in Europe, but they're
Yeah.
doing that. So yeah, like what they're going to do is they're going to take the show on the road, places that they haven't been to or they haven't been enough. Right? When you touch those places, people go over the top. Whether that's merch, whether that's ticket sales, fan fest, they go over the top to capitalize on that moment because they don't know when's the next time there's going to be a moment like that. So
Well said.
WWE gets all that paper from there. Then they come back to the US and it's like, oh, you've been gone so long. Let's make sure that we go to these events because they're going back overseas and we're going to miss them again. So,
Mm,
boom, they get that spike in the US again. Then when that spike starts dying down, boom, they're going overseas again.
mm.
And so they're going to be doing a little bit of that until they can, really see who's bringing in the money. Look, Cody's still bringing probably merch, a ton of money. Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, they're okay, man. They're
Yeah.
gonna be okay. Now they need to get their storyline shit together because, um, people here are not. This is like the second PLE in a row where people leave the arena like upset or disappointed.
Yeah.
Anticlimactic ending Survivor Series. John Cena, people didn't like, how that played out. Folks are going to start feeling a certain type of way, but this is where WWE is smart because they're going to take the show on the road and they're going to be gone the whole month of January, and people are going to quickly forget about everything that just happened in November, December, and coming right back to a clean slate.
Well said. Final thing before we let you go. Bleacher Report. They put several articles out actually on John Cena and his run. They rated the John Cena retirement tour an F. They gave Bleacher Report gave the entire run and God dang it an F. Um, what do you make of that grade? And do you think that that's unfair? Or I don't know. What do you think?
First of all, I think that
How would you
that's
grade it?
I
Oops.
think first of all, I think that they did that as a clickbait. I'm sorry. Because they saw how much traction and run ESPN received when they graded the what was it, the Australia one?
No, that was the yeah, Perth, right?
Was it Perth that
No, was it?
it
Yeah,
what
I know which one you're talking
yeah,
about.
when they
Yeah.
gave it a when they gave it a bad grade, right? And the reaction
Yep.
that it got. This is
Yep.
Bleacher Report doing something similar. They know that Cena was the biggest event. They know that everybody was talking about, hey, let's grade it an F. And guess what? Everybody's gonna be like,
Everybody's
well,
gonna
what
go.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think I'm with Machine Gun Matt here. C plus. Um, yeah, I think I'm good with that. And I'm still, and I told this, shout out to Danny Limelight. I told him this. I don't see how Obafemi is going to get over on the main roster.
Wait. I need you to clarify. Because of his limitations as a performer, or based on what you know and perceive of the culture of WWE and creative?
I think
Like in
that,
terms of like not really ever promoting anybody from NXT, not really.
yeah, something is missing from Obafemi. I don't know what
Okay,
that is.
so it's a performance issue for you.
Something is missing. Um, and I don't know if he's going to find it in the main roster. And maybe it takes the move to the main roster for him to find it, because maybe in NXT he already hit his ceiling and he needs to go somewhere where he can, graduate from that level.
Or
But I don't know. Like, I don't see him having a big impact. They're almost kind of making it seem like he's gonna have like a Brock Lesnar impact or a Goldberg impact.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not seeing it, bro. I'm not seeing it at all.
Yeah.
Um,
What did you think of that booking at the Obafemi run in? I hated it. I thought it was one of the worst ways you could have started off
yeah,
the
I,
night.
I didn't like that either. What should have happened was Obafemi should have came this close to pinning Cody, and then Cody would have pinned him. And then at the end or in the back, he would have been like, hey, listen, I know you didn't get the W, but you came really close and you pushed me to my limit. Great job. Welcome to the main roster. Something like that.
I
Sort
like
of
that.
like what Undertaker kind of gave Cena in the back after the Kurt Angle shit.
Yeah.
Like something like that. I think he would have benefited more. McIntyre running, he killed it. He killed Obafemi, whatever he had, he killed it,
He killed
because
it.
now
Yeah.
it
I
was all
agree.
about McIntyre and Cody Rhodes' story again.
Yeah. No, you're right, dude. You're so right. It was oh man, it was unfortunate.
I mean, he's got the
But yeah,
optics. Look, Mex, Super Mex, Matt. Listen, I agree with you guys. Like, he's got the look. I just don't know if he can turn the whole, if he can put together the whole thing, the whole package, the promo, the look, and the physicality of how he does things in the ring, along with the psychology, working with top guys. I don't know if he can do it.
yeah.
Like, it's a wait and see for
I
me.
think
That's
that's
all.
fair. I think that's fair, right? But I still think that he has the potential. There's a ceiling there. I think there's also a ceiling for like Ethan Page and even Ricky Saints. More and more I see him in that WWE or NXT, whatever realm, the more I see, he might have been more cut out for, this, style than the other one. So yeah, I think
It's
it works.
it's
But
it's going to be very important on how they book him next year.
agreed, fully agree. In fact, I don't know if you bring him up if you're going to turn Cody in 2026. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if you are, I think you hold out until then. I really do. I think he works better as a side hustle heel man type of situation.
And I, I
But
and I and I agree with Supermax. He could use a good manager, at least in the beginning.
absolutely. For sure, for sure, for sure. Listen, Abe, I appreciate it, man. For real. Champ, always love having you on. And give everybody real quick the personals.
At AbeG718 on TikTok, Instagram, X, fightsatw.com is the website. At AbeG Boxing is the YouTube. I put up some videos from this past weekend, and yeah, I think trying to finish off this year strong and see what the deal is.
Nice. All right, champ. Well, we will see you soon. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Later. That was Abe. Whoa, what the heck happened here? That was Abe Gonzalez, fightsatw.com. fightsaroundtheworld.com, where you can get all your combat sports info, where yours truly covers everything WWE. And Oh yeah, betting. Betting's a big thing now, and they're doing a lot of it over there on fightsatcw.com. I've said it once, I'll say it many more times. One of the best pound for pound staffs in all of the game. But we're gonna finish up real quick on a few of the wrestling topics. We don't have a lot of boxing stuff, but we do have a I don't know. I don't want to say serious. I mean, it's not like serious. It's like fucking boxing, right? But uh there was a show that happened this week in which journalist Sean Zittel, who I once worked with in the Boxing Voice, or for the Boxing Voice, or this is years ago, by the way. um he put out what he called his final words on the TKO situation, the Saudi public fund shit, and then basically everything going on with him and Terrence Crawford. I'm not gonna say her name. So he said some things that I think should be like, I don't want to be critical. That's not what I want to do. I never want to be critical. I really don't. Obviously criticizing is a big part of what, this whole gimmick is about, or shtick, but I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to be that guy, right? I don't want cheap fucking clicks. I don't want cheap fucking, bullshit. Even though I did title the show Sean Zittel breaks boxing's heart. So I guess I'm not fully against the hyperbole, or the use of hyperbole. But I will say that he had some remarks that, again, I think need to be looked at. Specifically speaking about TKO, he's been everybody's champion, right? The boxing hardcore's champion all summer, ever since he, stood up to Dana White in a crowded, room of reporters and fans, and in a situation where, obviously everybody there sucks Dana's dick. And so it was a ballsy thing to do, knowing that you weren't going to have the typical boxing fan support there in the arena for that specific, moment. Uh, and also knowing that, there aren't a lot of your colleagues willing to do the same. In fact, very, very few are willing to actually call a spade, right? Um, and so this is going to be not a serious conversation, but um, like a more serious conversation than we probably maybe wanted to have on this. Look, I'm going to say it. I respect the shit out of Jean Zittel, and I have always admired his work. I've always thought he was talented. He, like I always said, I think I've always put it like we work together. Like, um, I might have even said in the past, like he worked for me, or like through me, or whatever. And that's never what I meant. You know, it was him that actually was doing me the favor. He was the one going out to the fights and getting interviews. I was the guy who he'd send them to, so that I could just put out a breaking story on it, or a news story, or whatever I could do, to get this information before the Boxing Voice would lose it, and that would happen all the time. We'd get out scooped all the time, because it was like the Boxing Voice was nothing at that point in terms of credible journalism, or credible place within the landscape of boxing journalism. In fact, I think I would be safe in saying that most credible journalists didn't like Ness or the Boxing Voice. And that it would extend to me and the rest of the panel a lot of times. And don't get me wrong, I did my own job of fucking things up with people, saying things, maybe being a little too honest, or what I thought was being too honest on the show at times. But I respect Sean, and he really helped me a lot. I got to benefit off of his hard work, by simply just transcribing quotes and then putting some bullshit down, in between. Um, so it's a situation where I want to be careful not to come across as like uh, a hater, or like, like expecting more than anyone should of an individual. But uh talk to us due to he now some guys want, oh, very fair. Sean is just trying hard to be oh, yeah, okay. Let me go back to these. These are really good. So, well, we want to see. Oh, okay. So oh no, wait, not this one. Yeah, here we go. Sean is just trying hard to be boxing's Ariel. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair way to put that. Uh yeah, and then Mex comments on, even now some guys won't even talk to TBV based on, like, a lot of bullshit, dude. Like, you wouldn't believe how sensitive this game is. I'm telling you, it would amaze you to find out, like, the level of ego of, like, an Adrian Broner, for example. And Mex could tell you this story about Adrian Broner and Ness, and the boxing voice, and how he tried to check everyone, including myself. And it was this whole thing that went down that was based on Broner saying he would fight Garcia, right? But then once somebody let Angel know that, him trying to backtrack it and get Ness to smooth things out. Like, you really see people for who they are at this level in the game. You really do. Like, and I'm not even trying to be like, I mean, at this point, if you don't know that Adrian Broner is just, you know, either in a really bad place or a piece of shit, or both. Who knows? Like, I don't. All I know is the encounters that I've had with this man. He's a real piece of shit, like, for real. Now, maybe I caught him on a bad day. I'll be fair. Maybe he's like really good with his baby moms, and like, he's a good dad or uncle, or grandson, or whatever the fuck, right? But I could tell you that I have nothing but terrible experiences with that man, as a journalist, as a producer, as just a fucking man. You know what I mean? And I can't even imagine how Ness feels about the situation. Uh, you know, Literally, he tried to get Ness to smooth things over with Angel and Danny, like, because he was scared, I guess. I don't really know. All I know is they were boys in Philly. Um, Adrian was like cool with the pops, and they were all homeboys, I think, him and Danny. And they were always cool. It was always cordial. But background, there was always like shit talking, like, behind each other's backs, right? At least from the Broner camp, from what I understand. Not saying Danny and Angel were ever talking shit, but anyway, so there was always like this animosity where, like, to Angel, to the Garcia's face, Broner would be like, "Hey, what's up? Oh, we're cool at this moment in time, right?" And then, like, secretly he'd be like, "Yo, I fucking smoke, man. Danny's a bitch, blah, like, Angel's a bitch, blah blah, all this stuff, right?" So anyway, fuck it. Let's just get into it. Fuck it. I was gonna finish up with wrestling, but let's just do this. So Sean Zittel posted this, what he is referring to as his final comment on TKO and Saudi fun for a while. No. And I didn't even take it as a knock either, Mex. I mean, I think that's an aspiration, right? It would be like if some people were like, "Oh, like, you want to be the next Rogan or something." Like, even if you disagree with Rogan from a scientific standpoint, a political standpoint, whatever, like, you're just a hater, like, or you don't like his comedy or whatever, right? Uh, you'd have to admit that that would be the goal, right? The aspirations would be to have a show like his. And I think if you cover this sport of boxing or combat sports in a general way, the way that, I do, the way that Mex does, the way that Matt does, uh, yeah, Ariel's definitely the goal. You know what I mean? So it's not hate to say it that way. It's just the truth is this game is sensitive, and PR people have a hard enough job earning their keep, right? With this propaganda machine that you question whether you want to be this integratable journalist who covers things from a fair perspective, or whether you want to be like a douchebag. And it's fair to ask. I think it is. Oh shit, there we go. That's way better, bro. Oh, that's way better. Hell yeah. Save that bitch. Update this bitch. Yeah, look, he fixed it. The champ fixed it. Yo, I want to thank everybody that tapped in on the Cena night. I mean, I gained like, I think it was like 14 new subs on like across all the platforms, I mean. And then by the end, I lost 20 and gained like 40. So I think the net positive was like 18 to like 22 or 21 or something. Yeah. So a lot of people were like, oh, this is funny. He's spazzing out. And then a lot of people were like, oh God, this guy needs professional help. And I don't want to be the person that watches him melt down. But anyway, we're going to check this out. Before we get back to what should we grade John Cena. And you know what? Anybody can call in here. We're going to open up the boards. I didn't get to come on live yesterday. I got super sick. Super sick. So I don't know. This wasn't the culprit, but like Saturday, no, Sunday for the game, right? Cowboys play Sunday night, right? Yeah. So we went to my parents for the game, and I had or so my dad, I mean, we've been cooking a lot. My dad's a lot older, so he doesn't make barbecue as often. That's not to say he doesn't, right? He cooks every week. He just used to cook like 3 times a week, sometimes even 4 or 5. Yeah, we ate a lot of barbecue growing up. And so we've been cooking lately, but this was his masterpiece this week. This was our cowboy spread here. Not too shabby, not too shabby. We had the how do you do this? What the fuck? Oh, we had the fajitas with the uh pico de gallo. And this is my mom's pico de gallo, right? So like whenever Mex and Matt one day come bring their family to visit Corpus, and they come to the Munguia house to bring their kids to swim, my mom is going to make this for them. And then she'll probably make some for them to go, because they'll definitely want some to go. And then, just a few finger ribs and stuff. Also gave myself a Dr. B. Hadn't had one in a really long time. I was proud of that. But then it was like, oh shit, I'm just going to keep having Dr. Peppers now. So it was either having too much sugar that got to me, or it was like the crash of it all. But either way, I'm feeling better today. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. All right. So the YouTube and the Twitch now have the stream to join me if you want to hop on and talk about anything that we've already talked about, or anything wrestling, really. I'm going to cover AEW a lot more this year, 2026, AEW, NXT. I'll be honest, Machine Gun Matt's fucking killing it on his own show, bro. Just killing it. And even though he has a panel that is very good, I definitely think him and I have a a better shot combining our efforts. And so I'd like to combine them with Matt a lot more. I also think there's a show for me and Mex and Matt, even once a month. It doesn't even have to be live. Like we could just do it together and I can post it later. I can like actually put production behind it, like watching old wrestling and like actually like commenting on it. I always loved, what were those dudes' names on YouTube? Not OVO or not OV. What was their names? Fuck. They were like Australian guys or British guys or something like that. Um, Hold up. Okay, so the link to join the show is also in X if anybody wants to hop on. But let's go ahead and look at this stuff. Oh, let me promote what we're talking about real quick. Yeah, so I didn't feel good. I fucking puked like everywhere yesterday. And then I had to cover Raw, right? And I really expected a shit show. I mean, a lot of people didn't really like Raw this week, but I thought it was good. I really did. I think CM Punk delivered one of the best lines. You know what? Let's go to that. Let's go to that. We'll hold off on Sean. We'll talk about it. I swear to God, we'll talk about it. Okay. I don't got to be anywhere for another hour and a half, so I'll probably just stay live the whole time. Maybe even we'll go on Twitch. Who knows? Or start gaming. I mean, so anyway, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's focus on real quick last night's amazing promos from CM Punk. And I really, really regret not talking to Abe about it um while he was on. I really do. Thank God. Thank you, Matt. You're the best, dude. Thank you so much. That's so cool of you to come on
Yeah,
at
you got
this
me?
point. Yeah, you sound perfect.
Cool.
First of all, great show this week, man. Really loved it. My wife subbed to you on TikTok and a few other places, I think, too. She came across your video. She knew it was you because she recognized me, but she also said she recognized your voice from the show. So,
Word.
there you
Appreciate
go.
it.
You got a memorable voice.
Good, man. I'm glad. I've been working on this whole podcasting system is still like pretty new to me, like this whole mic setup and everything.
It sounds
I'm
good.
figuring
It
it out
really
as it
does.
goes along. So we'll get in
It
there.
sounds really good right now. It really does. And yeah, honestly, the light's better too. I would just say like one more on the left side of you, but if you're mirrored, then I guess right side of you. But
Yeah, 'cause
yeah,
it's just I have to because I'm still set up in the garage right now, so I'm still getting everything set and
sounds
together.
like it's got good audio in there. Like
Yeah,
like you have good insulation and shit.
yeah.
So I want to talk to you about the Punk promo. I thought it was amazing. Before we start, I want to ask you, Wrestle Talk has done this before. What Culture's done this before? They've always asked, what's the better promo? The pipe bomb or the Steiner math? Do you believe that those are two of the best, or is there another one that comes to mind? Which one do you prefer, the pipe bomb or Steiner math?
I mean, in modern times, yeah, those are probably two of the better ones. I prefer the pipe bomb just because it was like it felt more real. You know what I mean? It felt like it came from just emotion. Like Scott Steiner was just being funny. Granted, it was like something that caught everybody's eye, and it stuck with you for the rest of time from that point on. I mean, like that was in TNA. How many people were actually watching TNA or know that was from TNA? Like most people thought that would be like something he probably did on like Velocity or some old WCW show. Like that's. But to me, like the Punk promo just really sticks out as the pipe bomb because like it was all his main gripes where it blends in the truth and then it kind of mixed in working people towards the end of it. No, okay.
My bad. I was muted. My bad.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant. But before the Punk promo, the backstage segment with Paul Heyman, Logan Paul, Braun Breaker was awesome. I thought that was really where this whole Steiner math segment really started, because
Mhm.
you had this moment where Braun is like, I want to crush CM Punk. This is the first time Braun's in the building with CM Punk, because CM Punk had not been cleared by medical to even fly, right? I don't know if that was even kayfabe or not, but at the end of the day, he didn't fly, so he didn't come. So any of the shows, this is the first time, and Braun wanted to immediately go get him, which I love, right? Because I always think of that. It's like, dude, you're in the same place. Why are you're probably down the hall from his locker room. You know what I mean? But it was brilliant because he's like, Paul's like, dude, it's 21 days. You're going to have this all in 21 days. Don't worry about it. And he's like, you know what 21 days is? You know how long that is? And Bromberg's, yeah, 21 days, 506 hours or whatever the fuck it is. And Paul's like, yeah. I mean, obsessive, and it's like hilarious because nobody ever said that to Scott, like how many times were there like 5 people in his promo and he's just incoherently spewing numbers to the point where like everybody behind him's pretending so hard like they even know what the fuck he's talking about. And Braun has that charisma. He's charming as Punk called him, the Neanderthal Nepo baby. He plays that so well, this slow dumb ox, this meathead, you know what I mean? But it's like there's something compassionate about it or empathetic about it. I don't know. Maybe it's just pathetic. Who knows? Matt, what did you think of Punk's promo and what we're starting to see from a Braun Breaker main stage shows? What he's been utilizing since Braun's been gone.
I like the promo from Punk because it's added more of his. Punk is a real passionate promo kind of guy. He always speaks because if it's really on his mind and how he truly feels, especially in a character sense of how he speaks. But in terms of blending everything into the storyline, how they're both starting to get mad and them talking about each other's family. They're both starting to steal each other's material in a sense of, Punk doing the math, Breaker doing pipe bombish things, but then just show, like you said, like it's really showing how Braun Breaker is really like, it's time. This is another one of those things that prove it. His performances all year have proven it. His runs with the IC title. And now that he's in the main event mix as the guy, his promos are starting to catch up to. Like, I think this promo he had and this actions he had yesterday were a lot better than his first promo against Punk. Because that first promo that they said was his best, I was like, I don't know if that was his best. Because it could, like, if that was his best, then he could do better. But last night and the week before, Braun Breaker is starting to show why it's time for him to break through that ceiling and take on that mantle as top guy.
Ooh, well said. Yeah, I remember this moment. I don't really remember it because I don't remember if it was WrestleMania, SummerSlam. Maybe it might have even been Saudi, but there was this moment with Breaker. This was before the Vision. He had a promo, and it was like live outside on a stage in front of a bunch of people, like a big crowd. And he cut this Steiner math promo that was so good. And you saw it then, like, oh, wait, he could be something, special. I think Punk playing into everything, it leads me to believe that I think Braun is getting over in January. I think the January 5th show, he's going to end up taking the belt. And the rumor and speculation is that Punk Braun end up running it back at Mania. What do you expect on Monday night, January the 5th, the 1-year anniversary of Raw on Netflix, Matt?
I still expect Punk to win in January. If it were me and you want to capitalize on the moment of him beating CM Punk, you have Braun Breaker beat Punk at Elimination Chamber, which takes place in Chicago. Beat Punk in Chicago, take that moment, crown yourself king, and nothing would be better than that.
Ooh, well said. Oh, what's up, little man?
Hi.
How's it going, buddy? Hey, what's going on?
He's at
Where
his,
am I? I'm in Corpus Christi, Texas. You know where that is? That's like a 12-hour drive. No, about 10-hour drive.
the beach. He's over there. Yeah, you have fun with that.
I'm from the home of Selena.
But yeah, I think the bitter impact would be for him to beat Punk in Chicago at Elimination Chamber because I feel like I feel like that's the match they're setting up for Mania, and that would be the easy way to avoid having another number
That's
one
interesting.
contender.
That is so interesting.
Instead of having like the number one contender for the match for the other world champion who didn't win the Rumble, you have that match with him and Punk, or you have Breaker win the Elimination Chamber, then Punk has a gripe to get the rematch at Mania, then you set that up and he beats Punk again.
Yeah,
Especially because Punk likes to work in trilogies like old school wrestlers do. It would set it up perfect. He wins the first match in January. You go to Chamber, you beat him in Chicago, and then you go back and beat him again in Vegas at Mania.
Yo, Mex with a hilarious chat said, "Good running, nephew, crashing your dad's terrible takes." Shout out to Mex. Yo, I like that. Now I want to have you address this rumor real quick. It's come out of several places. I found it on Reddit, but I know that Wrestle Talk has talked about it. I know that I saw it on Rebby's timeline and a few other people on X. There is a rumor that Logan Paul could end up being the person to face Braun Breaker following Mania, that there is a loose plan as it stands to take Logan Paul from the Vision, right? Or exile Braun from it. I'm not sure which way, but the idea is that Logan Paul will be winning his first heavyweight title before the second half of 2026. What do you make of that? What do you think that could do? And so far at this point, are you ready to just accept Logan Paul as a full-fledged WWE superstar?
Oh, I already have. Yeah, to me,
You already have. That's
Logan
right.
Paul is WWE superstar.
That's right.
Ever since that tag match at WrestleMania, where I had doubts too, right? But then you see him do what he does in person, and you're like, this guy is great, and he's like a legit, real life heel. Because a lot of people hate Logan Paul to begin with, but he is just so naturally athletic and built for something like wrestling. He just it's like a fish to water, bro. He just fits perfectly, and he goes naturally with everything. Now, I understand some people get upset because, like, he does get that time to plan out his matches and rehearse them quite a bit. But by this point, bro, he's already had at least for sure, 2 full runs, at full-time runs in the WWE at least. If you're working more than 6 months at a time, then
you're keeping it real on Logan Paul, because so many people are still like absolutely unfair with what he's done so far in the ring.
Mm-hmm. No, bro, it's hard. I'm not saying like he's one of the best in the world, but it's hard to not look at him and what he's done and say, like, man, this guy is very talented, bro. Very, very talented.
Yeah, I agree. Is 2026 the year he wins the heavyweight title?
No, I don't
Really?
think there's a world where they'd ever put the world title on him. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah, no, because I think it's just
Hold up. They made John Cena tap out
right
in his final match. They
Against
made
Gunther.
John Cena turn heel in his
Mhm.
final year.
Right.
At the end of the day, you also suggested beating Punk in Chicago.
Yeah.
You're telling me
Punk in
that
Chicago.
all those things that essentially are trolls to the fans. I mean, come on, that's meant to
Not
get
all of
hate.
them.
You're telling me that they wouldn't pull the ultimate troll in the strap on Logan.
I don't think so. I don't see the world where it would happen or how you would set it up. Like, sure, you could have that match with Braun where they kick him out of the Vision and they try to
I like that.
where they take the title back, but it's like I don't see the real justifications, let's say, of why Logan Paul would have the world title, even if it's for sure, like even if it's just a quick handoff, he's got it for a couple weeks and he loses it the next pay-per-view. I just don't see it happening. I can see the scenario like they did with Dom at first, and he wins a world title with an affiliated company. Like if he wins the TNA world title, or if he wins like AAA championship, just because he can go troll everybody down in Mexico too. But to me, I don't see him winning the world championship.
Well said. So I have spoken a little bit with you about the John Cena stuff, but I would like to get your full take in everything. Before we do that, we're just gonna real quick watch what everybody's calling the crash out of the century here in Infighting
Dude,
FX.
You had
This
me
was the
cracking up.
night.
I was at work when this happened, and you had me dying. Oh
Yeah, word.
God.
Yo, yeah, it was crazy. I could see the numbers just fluttering like back and forth. People that are
Your face.
probably
Look at your face right there. Look,
Oh, yeah.
you know it's coming.
Dude,
You
I
can
love
see that
I
it's
love my
gonna
niece.
happen.
I love my niece so much. I'm gonna just go ahead and assume she did it for the show, but that's only because I'm trying to protect her.
The
I think
submission
she really did
on as Cena's face
This is what
another AA
ooh, that's
for a near fall, and Gunther has re-locked the submission on as Cena's face is turning pale white. He cannot sustain this pressure around his neck for much longer. And the crowd is screaming, "Don't give up," as they have all worked out as hard as I am. And we're cheering on Cena.
dude. Look at the heartbreak.
Yo, honestly, if
Hold
they
on,
were
here
to
it
do
comes.
that, the
Here it comes.
WWE might
Look,
as
what?
well
Here it comes.
pronounce
Here it comes.
suicide notes. Like, what the fuck, bro?
Here it comes.
But he
Look,
never gave up.
watch your face.
Oh, that's one. His arm is dropped for the first time.
Oh no, wait, no, he's
Go
gonna break out like 2 more times.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Dude,
Fast forward.
that's two. If John Cena's arm
Yeah,
drops
go forward a
again,
little bit. You know what this reminded me of? Have you ever seen those fan videos of when like Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez?
Oh,
When you're watching in the living room and shit.
and
It looks
now
like that.
Gunther has reapplied the chokehold for the 7th time. Walter, and now Walter, who can't spell his own name.
Dude, the silence is deafening.
Look.
Shut the
Poor
fuck
Mario.
up, buddy.
Poor Mario. I feel bad for this guy. I feel bad for that guy
I
in
was
that video right there.
cosplaying John Cena, dude.
That is your Undertaker moment. That's the best part too. Is this was your Undertaker moment? That's the
Fuck
best
you! Fuck you! Fuck you, Triple H! Fuck you, Nick Khan! Fuck
Ooh.
you, Mario Emanuel, piece of shit!
Oh, mark
You
out, crash
globalist
out.
pieces of shit! Fuck you!
Just wow.
Yo, I was upset, dude. I was a little hot. I'm not gonna lie.
Let me
about it.
ask you this question: do you at least understand now that it's Tuesday why they did it the way they did it and why that happened the way it did? Because look what happened yesterday. Look at the heat that he had, Gunther.
Yeah.
Walking
No.
in and out of there. He had to be like you told Abe. He had to be escorted by
I
police.
see it.
You haven't
No,
seen
no.
some shit like that since the territory days, dude.
But what I want to know is what was your first initial reaction? It
Him
happened.
losing like that?
Yeah, it happened. What were you thinking?
Man, watching live, I was more like in shock that it was over. Just because
Yes.
like you and I, your time with John Cena was so linked and that to the fact that 23 years and that was it. It was over. I was one of the people that was on the fence about it, but I had a firm understanding that Gunther was probably going to win.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure about him tapping out, but when it happened and the way he smiled, and then I understood the story right there
Right away.
that, okay, he tried everything. He didn't give up. He gave it all he had. And there was nothing else for him, bro. The 5 moves of doom multiple times, multiple AAs, avalanche AA, bunch of
Yo.
SPFs. There was nothing else he could try.
He played the greatest hits, man.
Yeah,
Which
he did it. He did everything he did everything he could and everything that was possible for him to try. And there was he had no bullets left in the chamber. And he said, you know what? You got it. And sometimes
Is it
that was just it. Really, it to me. He the way he smiled and kind of just lightly, you know what? You got it. That's pretty much how I took it from there.
do you think there's any way that in 10 years, maybe 20 years, all right, 50 if you think that it ever happens, that there will be a overwhelming majority that look at that match as nostalgically and as brilliant as storytelling as they do Flair Michaels?
No, because it wasn't as big of a stage as WrestleMania. Like it was its own thing.
True.
But it was like, Michaels and Flair. Ric Flair's story was a lot better built because you got to remember, like they set it up to okay, the next match you lose, you're done, you will be finished, and then he kind of chose his own fate at the end of the day, which built on one of the bigger stages, which should have been the main event of that Mania, but that's
Yeah.
neither here nor there at this point. But yeah, just the emotion that built into it. This match was it was a good match with Gunther and Cena, but it's just I don't think it's gonna be remembered as like, man, you guys remember John Cena's last match? Because I think John Cena's career as a whole probably be more remembered than anything, and his moments and his hit moments will be more remembered than anything.
I think you're right. I do. And Mech said it, but this is what Mech said on the chat. He said, but it reminded me of the end of the streak, that initial doubt after the ref hit the 3 on the Taker. Yo, I swear to God, that was the exact feeling. And I thought back on it because so many people on X and everywhere else on social media were comparing the end of Undertaker's streak to Cena losing that night.
It was the same level of shock, bro. Like I remember me and my brother, and we had a group of people watching at his house, and we stopped mid conversation when that 3 hit. We were just like, just it was so shocking that it happened. It happened. It was over. And it was like, wow,
for
really
real.
good. And then John Cena doing that, losing in that way is the same way. You're like, oh my God, he tapped out. He gave up. But like, oh man, and then I think it was more like it's because people know that John Cena probably is more going to be at his word that he's not coming back in a wrestling sense. In a wrestling sense, he's not going to come back. He's gone. There probably won't be another match. He probably won't pull the Undertaker or the Flair or the Michaels where they come back for just a quick, cheap match. I think for real, he's gone, and it's the realization that it's over is really what shocked people.
I agree with you for one major reason, because so many people have been saying, oh, this is wrestling, nobody ever retires. But the truth is that for 95% of wrestling and wrestlers over the last 50, 60, 70 years, there was no alternative to wrestling. Once you were branded a wrestler, you couldn't be an actor, not a serious one. You couldn't be this, you couldn't be that. The Rock has really paved a second life after wrestling. Stone Cold with his media stuff, one of the biggest wrestling podcasts. There's Undertaker, same thing. Like all these legends are showing a life after wrestling. And for Cena, I think that he could literally do anything. And so it's a situation where having to come back will never be the a thing. I'm not saying Michaels or Taker, or certainly not Triple H or Kane had to come back that day. I just think that once you've been gone that long and you've been so far detached from it, not to, you know what I mean? But Cena has so much more to focus on that I agree with you. I don't think we'll ever.
Well, not only just that, Mario, you like no matter how people see this year's run as a whole, John Cena is one of the few wrestlers that got to go out like he wanted to.
Well said.
If you really think about it, look at the Undertaker, look at Ric Flair, look at sometimes Stone Cold. It's exactly why, like, if you've seen the interview with Chris Van Vliet, why Batista says he stays away, because he's gonna want to chase that feeling again, like as if he didn't get a send off in the way that they truly wanted it. There's nothing else for John Cena to chase. His career as a whole was great. His run was dictated as as we assume, a lot of us assume how he wanted for the most part, even though he is a team player. But the ending for sure for me, John Cena picked this ending at the beginning of this run. I'm going to face Gunther. He's going to beat me, and that's how I'm going to go out.
Well
And
said.
there's no other way. And like, yeah, John Cena has a lot of other things to fall back on and to do. He's going to be one of the biggest stars in the next few years.
Agreed. Listen, we're gonna transition into boxing. Did you want to stick around for the conversation, or
I'm here for a little bit for you, fella. Let's do it.
Champ? You tell me anytime you ready to rock. What we're gonna do right now is we're gonna listen to Sean Zittel and what he is calling his final word on the TKO saga. Matt, I'd like to get your take on it and talk further about just really the idea of what he's saying here. Wait. Oh, there we go.
Not try to actually solve some of the, give an alternative solution. So the video was supposed to be about, look, USA Boxing, don't sell out to TKO because of what TKO's history is. Like I asked Dana, they've already paid $375 million in antitrust suits. They have more potentially on the way. And so I'm like, hey, before you just hitch your wagon to this company that has this history that's changing things in Congress right now so they could potentially do the same thing in boxing that they've done in mixed martial arts, you know, why don't you build up your YouTube channel? That's why you got Sean versus Usyk in your archives in Colorado Springs. Drop it. That's 500,000 views right there. If you got Floyd Mayweather in the Nationals in '94, you got the JOs with Oscar De La Hoya. Drop this stuff. You're sitting on a gold mine. You may be able to proliferate your channel and make it big and blow up without having to belong to any company or promoter, just USA Boxing independent, right? And but the part of the pros that it applied to was, look, Turkey has said he said in March when he started the Zuffa Boxing League with Dana, and when they announced it, that this will crush everything. Well, everything includes the big four, Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, Al Heyman, and Oscar De La Hoya. So Heyman, he's had 6 dates on Amazon, 5 dates last year. We don't know if it's just a distribution deal or if Amazon's actually giving them any money. A lot of speculation as it pertains to that. But my pitch was, why don't the 4 of you consolidate, not merge, keep your own companies, not merge, but consolidate under Amazon Prime Video, an American company.
Okay, so let's stop it right there for a second. Matt, I have, I guess, a lot to, or I've said a lot on this topic, so much so that I feel like it would be redundant for me to go through all of what I believe, because Sean Zittel very accurately summed it up there, right? It's about the intentions of this group and whether it's really to make boxing better for fighters and fans, or is it to, essentially create another monopoly that, like one that exists with WWE and UFC. What do you think about the potential of a merger between Golden Boy, Top Rank, PBC, and Matchroom to combat whatever efforts TKO is and Saudi Group are essentially trying, this hostile takeover of boxing? Is that a solution? Is Amazon a real solution?
I don't think so, because a lot of things that already, I think it just simply because that means you're going to ask them to put everything on pay-per-view again. And I think, they're showing you that the pay-per-view model is dead, especially like look at the UFC. The UFC completely got out of pay-per-view. So I agree with what he's saying. Like they would take that collaborative effort between the 4 to come together, but then at the same time, you're asking those 4 to play nice with each other, and they never play nice with each other. Like look at Golden Boy. Golden Boy is out of everybody, they're the ones that are being super standoffish right now, not trying to make a lot of dates. Like they have so many fighters rumored for fights, but nobody's in a fight yet. And then at the same time, who's gonna pay all these guys? All these guys got what they did is they let Turkey spoil all these guys with big paydays, take some decent fights, some of them really good hard fights, but now you're gonna ask them to what fight card or what promotion do you think they could make to honestly combat this? And now right now it's not a problem, but with the Terrence Crawford situation with the WBC, it didn't really help their cause at all, especially the WBC. Everybody starts looking into the WBC, all the fishy actions they did, the actions they had immediately following that with the Stephen Fulton fight, moving them up to 135 for some interim belt that wasn't necessary. The fact that people believe it, and then more people are starting. It would only take a handful of top fighters to get behind something like Zuffa Boxing to do what you said, to do what the UFC did and what WWE did, and legally monopolize the sport.
Yeah.
Especially because it's hard to, you can't call them a monopoly or put them in an antitrust because there's still competition that exists, not at the same level, but there's still other places for you to go. But
Yeah.
if they do it the same way, and they spoil some top names with some riches while building up all the young talent like they plan to do, because they've said that part out loud. They're gonna start with all the young and up and coming talents that want to get down with them. So think about it. Hypothetically, let's say they get a Terrence Crawford to just drop all his belts and only have the ring belt and then the Zuffa belt, and then they get a Shakur Stevenson behind them. But then they build another young star like a Carmel Moulton. If they get a Moulton on their side and build him up as a star the whole way around with another crop of guys around him, all they'd have to do is hold on to him until everybody else dies down.
Yeah. But that's the other part about it, is can these companies, based on the last several years of business, even afford certain weight out strategies or certain things? But you make excellent points here, right? Where does the money come from? He talked about having an actual meeting with Jeff Bezos as a financier of boxing in this effort, collaborative effort. Here's where this is like the problematic aspect of it, right? And this is a genuine conversation that has to be had, right? And Sean says this in the thing. I don't know if he said this in the clip we just watched, but if not, he says it later. He says that this isn't about giving these guys an out, because in reality, all these institutions that have a problem right now with what's going on with TKO as it relates to boxing and everything else, these are the same people that are responsible for the decay of boxing and the terrible business strategy that's been utilized for decades. Boxing has been propped up by this house of cards that has always been just a short breath from tipping over, and a lot of these companies have worked in a way where it was kind of like, okay, well, we're just going to strategically work these few years without developing any real, insight for the future. Once upon a time, several different platforms existed to showcase boxing at several different levels, right? You had ESPN Friday Night Fights or Tuesday Night Fights, or then you had Boxing After Dark, Showtime Championship Boxing, HBO Championship Boxing, and then there was the pay-per-view levels. Today, it's all become muddied, right? Badu Jack was a pay-per-view this past weekend. How can you even justify that being the case? So when you look at where we're at and why TKO is trying to take over, there is a legitimate argument that these guys have reaped what they sowed, right? Specifically PBC, because part of this problem is that fighters were being overpaid these astronomical amounts for fights that were not worth it. Instead of making the fights that we actually wanted to see, right? They slow played it, and they did exactly what they'd been doing for the decades before, trying to milk their biggest cow until the point where there was nothing left other than cashing them out or a big ass fucking payday, between joint promotions. And that is not a viable way of continuing boxing for the next millennium. You see the NFL, you see the MLB, you see the NBA, and they all make these great strides to keep current, right? And stay with the model that will appeal to the next generation of people coming forward. That's never been boxing's way. And Turkey has utilized some of these things. He's given back in a lot of different ways that has made certain people believe, okay, well, this is a genuine effort to better boxing. But now we get to this point where he's saying, no, I'm giving the keys to the kingdom to somebody. He used these words. It was going to wipe out everyone else. So again,
I mean, Mario, it's not like Turkey didn't give them a chance. He worked with all of them.
He did. Yeah, it's true.
It's hard to look at these past couple years.
Was this always planned, though, Matt? Was this always planned? These guys
think about it, Mario. He's worked with everybody. He's dealt with, he's worked with Golden Boy. He's worked with Eddie. He's worked with Frank. He's done his work, with PBC through Louis de Cubas. I mean, it's hard to say like his experience with them didn't dictate why he chose Dana and to begin with. And they've been, he's and hell like, look, bro, like I've dealt with TKO when they brought over the UFC to Saudi. I've dealt with them when they brought the WWE to Saudi. They seem super easier to work with when than these four guys. So to me, it's like
I appreciate that logic because it's important to keep in perspective, right? The thing is this: Sean has been one of the few active voices voicing these concerns, and these are genuine concerns, right? You have a compliant Congress and Senate and White House, right? And you have the ability to reshape boxing legislation in combat sports that goes far beyond, what we're looking at here at this moment, right? Let's say that they get this stuff changed and boxing just doesn't work the way they thought it would. And in 5 years, it ends up being what I expect the slap league to be by next year. And they pull out, right? And you've caused this permanent damage to boxing and specifically to boxers without a real plan of how to make it better. You're simply asking for so much trust, right? And specifically, a lot of these things that they're hoping to get changed have to do with how open they are with what they're, or where the money goes. And that to me is again an affront to this whole situation, right? This is what I believe the problem is. And I'm not saying I'm right, Matt. I'm not. I'm just saying that in the 10 years that I've had experience in this sport, this is the only logical place that I've been able to come to. Okay. The truth is that boxing had been bloated in terms of its worth, right? And they were staked on very few names that were able to carry mass appeal. Okay. And throughout all of that, that was the only real tipping point for boxing. Everything else kind of got the, stragglers, right? It was kind of like a trickle down effect sort of situation, but it never worked. They were never developing anything to make new stars or to, I mean? It was all about passing the torch. That's
yeah,
always been the structure of boxing. It's never really worked any differently. And you can trace almost every single star to another star that they beat, and so on their way out. And so ultimately it comes down to this for me, right? Boxing has been bloated for so long that it was only worth a certain amount of money. So in order to pay fighters the amount that they wanted, right, they got networks to overcommit by a lot.
mm-hmm.
And instead of promoters taking a look at what the split truly looks like, instead of really looking at what they're doing and getting out of it and how much that's being spread around, they just continue to try to keep the same pie and just get more for the fighters, right? So instead of boxing being worth this amount that is capable of sustaining itself and splitting, it was just throwing more money into the pot so they could give more money to the fighters. That was like a balloon, I forget what they're called. It's like, that's just ready to pop. It's like the 2008 house financial crisis. You know what I mean? What do you think? What do you think as far as what? Okay, let me ask you this: do you think TKO has a better chance of fixing boxing? Do you think? Would you trust them? Would you trust Dana White at this point to make boxing better for the fans, for the fighters? No.
There's no like real fixing boxing because even if you like, let's hypothetically say they go through the UFC model. Look at the UFC's buy rates the past 5 years; they've gone down. The UFC ran the problem with always having number one fight number two is eventually you're going to run through all those ones and twos until they've run through all the big fights they have, and then you're going to have guys fighting 3, 4, 5 times. And then what if that number two is better than all the 3 through 10s, and he's always the number one and number two contender? Are you going to run the same fight 16 times in a row? It gets competitive and it gets boring, and that's why people started stealing. And then look what it did. To me, the biggest thing and this is what people like fail to also notice. What Nick Khan was saying as he was doing this little press run is uh everybody thought they're going to Netflix with this. He says they're putting them on Paramount and CBS. That Zuffa Boxing is going over there. So
It is. Yep.
to me, that was also what.
Dana said as much in his CBS interview with 60
Yeah,
Minutes.
and that to me, like that's what was the biggest mistake that boxing made was they got off cable. Somebody should have, top rank on whether it was top rank on ESPN or when the PBC was still on Fox or when everybody was on Showtime and HBO. You had to have some level of television boxing on to build those stars, whether it was the Showbox or regular Showtime, HBO After Dark, the Friday night fights, what you got used to. That's how you built up that next generation. That's how you learned, while Floyd and Manny were doing their thing, you learned about Bud, you learned about Spence, you learned about Keith, you learned about Danny, you learned about Tio and Devin, and you learned about Shakur, you learned about Leo Santa Cruz and Gary Russell.
There was a singular place where you went. Yes.
And but that's where if you take them all off television, you take them all off cable, a premium cable, and you try to make everybody believe that they're a pay-per-view star when they're not, because a lot of those guys didn't fight each other. That was the other big problem. It's like you said, like they were overpaid to make average fights. And then eventually it was, by the time you got to some of those fights, it was too late.
Well said. Now I want you to hear what he has to say real quick here.
Maybe he could go bar for bar, band for band with this public investment fund, and you can stay under the current rules of the Ali Act. Because Dana is saying, once we change this act, watch them all do the same. And I compared it on Twitter to, look, that's like saying, once all the companies started shipping manufacturing to China, you're going to have to do it too. And it's like, well, of course they have to. If they're getting cheaper labor, which increases their profit margins, other companies have to follow suit.
Exactly. And that's why I think what Mex is saying, it's not the same, right? He's saying that it's the same thing that everybody else did in terms of big bank, take little bank, but that's not true, because when PBC branched from Golden Boy, right? When Golden Boy essentially branched from, I mean, not really Top Rank, but that kind of, I mean, they helped build Oscar.
What PBC did was different. They didn't branch. They took all their fighters and ran.
Okay, very fair. Yeah. I don't. Thank you. Yes, I don't want to make.
They left Golden Boy on HBO and they took off.
Yeah, absolutely. And they went to a lot of different places too eventually. And so you're absolutely right. The thing that TKO is doing isn't just a big bank take little bank situation. They are changing the structure for which boxing has attempted to revitalize itself. I mean, we're talking about one of the most corrupt sports that America ever produced. You know what I mean? Or like,
there's
you know what I'm saying? Like,
there's baseball.
Sure. All I'm saying is that boxing was essentially ran by the mob, in a lot of ways in certain areas. And so when we look at what TKO is trying to do, it's about asking yourself whether or not this is a situation where the change of this will be good long term, right? Because you could say, oh, well, in the short term, everybody's going to follow suit. Everybody's going to end up, getting in line. But that's not to say you're right. That's not to say that this works or that this helps. And all I know is that every UFC fighter is tired of getting paid less than they expect. You know what I'm saying? So.
But that's where some of this changes now, especially like Mario. Think about it. Like I asked this question, and I've gotten a lot of different answers. The UFC was predicated on pay-per-view points and draw power, right? At this whole time with ESPN. Now that there's no pay-per-view, what is the structure of paying their fighters, right? The only answer is to give them a guaranteed contract, a higher guaranteed contract. It's not like you're gonna, it's not like you're gonna pay fighters by how many subs or additions to Paramount Plus they get. You're going to look at everybody's ticket selling power where they'll get more cuts like that. And you'll offer them a higher contract for the ones that are more known, the more popular ones. And who's to say, right, for those ones like, because let's not play around. Most boxing pay-per-views nowadays are doing less than 200,000 or around 200,000. If you're hypothetically, let's say you're at the PBC, right? And if Al Heyman tells you, I'll give you X amount of dollar per pay-per-view that you sell, or Zuffa Boxing says, I'll give you a guaranteed 3-fight, $30 million contract for those 3 fights. Which one would you pick?
Yeah, no. When you put it that way, it's
And
clear.
then as a fan, that forces change that I want because I'm tired of pay-per-view. If the UFC, who was the bigger media outlet, cut out pay-per-views because they knew they couldn't do it anymore, why wouldn't I want that for boxing?
Yeah,
Whether it's good for the fighters or not, why, as a fan, would I not want that?
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from. I do. It for me, it's about the history of the sport and what it suggests happens to fighters when too much control is given to the promoter, when too much control is given to the lawyer or the manager. There has never been, like, let's be honest for a second. Boxing, it's mostly people that come from low income circumstances to begin with, right? This influx of money isn't ever been the answer, right? Because when you come from a situation where you don't know how to handle big sums of money, then it's not like you're really changing their life. Essentially you're setting them up for failure in a lot of ways. And you can see how the money and the lights have really affected young kids like Ryan Garcia and Tank. And God, I mean, how much harder is it to be a fighter, a fighter at that level than it was 20 years ago without social media, 30 years ago when there wasn't even an internet or, yeah, close to it, whatever. It was a situation where I think that I don't know. All this got out of hand, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But everybody was so okay with the way it was going, right? The WBC wasn't mad about, and and that's like a whole other story to get to in a second. But
to be fair, this is all Mauricio's fault because he
in
bit
what way?
because he bit into the media's bait that they put out there for him to say something else. All he had to say was, we gave Crawford time. We've tried to reach out to him. He never paid his fees, so we have no choice but to strip him and left it at that. Not like, oh, he didn't even fucking apologize. We gave him so many chances. Da 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 da. Everything extra that he said outside of he never paid his fees
Was uncalled for.
it was on everything besides, hey, he didn't pay for his fees. That's part of the rules, so we have no choice but to strip him. The belt's vacant. Everything else he could have left out of that and just he could have repeated the same answer all the time, and then it made him look foolish at the end of the day because look, they try to do some stupid thing where they sign his cutout, then everybody starts paying more attention, and everybody paid more attention to the WBC in that week and watched every silly move that they made to the point where you're like, well, to the point where they had people agreeing with Crawford. And don't get me wrong, I agree with Crawford too because it's like some of the things like what for what like you were asking for this much money, but every other sanctioning body took less money. So why do you feel more special than these other fights?
Well said. Matt, something is going on right now. There is word I just received, and I've confirmed it through Ring. Bud Crawford has officially announced his retirement.
Really?
Really?
Like for real?
For real. The Ring has reported it.
Oh my god. So no rematch?
So no rematch. I mean, here's the thing: is this like a ploy to, get out or get somebody else in?
Hey, here, go feed the dogs or something.
Yo, this is crazy.
Oh my god, he posted a video.
Yeah, I just bookmarked it on X. Let's see what this looks like.
Wow.
Shoot, this is
I mean,
crazy.
this was an option, bro. And okay, you can play right there. That's fine. Hey, turn on the light in the living room for brother. Thank you. Such a good kid, bro. Gotta love that kid.
Seems like it, dude. He seems like an awesome kid, actually.
Yeah, bro. Big Cody Rhodes, man.
Nice. Also, he's a smart kid too. Nice. Yo, this is crazy. So here is the video that was just put out by Terrence Crawford, reposted by The Ring. Oh shit, I gotta share it though. Wow. Okay, let's see this, guys. Am I gonna crash out more than I did with John Cena? Let's find out. No, I'm just kidding.
Every fighter know this moment will come. We just never know when. I've spent my whole life chasing something. Not belts, not money, not headlines, but that feeling, the one you get when the world doubts you, but you keep showing up and you keep proving everyone wrong.
Unbelievable performance.
This sport gave me everything. I fought for my family, I fought for my city, I fought for the kid I used to be, the one who had nothing but a dream and a pair of gloves. And I did it all my way.
Cannot be overstated how sensational Terrence Crawford is.
I gave this sport every breath I had, every scar, every triumph,
Terrence Bud Crawford is the pound-for-pound king.
every ounce of my heart.
The fighting pride of Omaha, Nebraska, USA, and new Ring Magazine, an undisputed super middleweight champion of the world.
And I've made peace with what's next. And now, it's time. Thank you.
Yo, that was incredible. Wow, dude. That feels more final than just like, a bullshit
Couldn't
story.
even let John
thrown
Cena
out.
have his fucking moment. Wow. Bro, man, no, that seems like
Yo,
that seems
Terrence
like he's
Crawford,
done.
John Cena of boxing. No, I'm just kidding.
That
Yeah,
seems
yeah,
like
yeah.
he's done.
Yeah, right?
I mean,
Didn't
'cause
that feel final? Like,
if the Johnny Beck fight was next, and then Johnny Beck just went through the situation.
exactly. It's like you feel like, and now,
Wow.
okay, listen, there's something else we were going to talk about later with Ryan
That's
Garcia as
crazy.
it relates to Ryan Garcia. And he said in, I think it was he was on a DDG live stream, if I'm not mistaken, and he said that he got the call originally after they pulled Tank from the fight, and he
Mhm.
told Jake next year. He said that Crawford was called as well, and that Crawford said next year. Then he had something going on. He wouldn't specify whether he was even talking about the rematch or not, and that led some people to speculate whether Ryan Garcia knew, something that others didn't, or if, you know what I mean, like that there was another fight on the horizon that wasn't the rematch. But ultimately, Ron G says this is
over.
legit.
Yeah,
It's
wow.
over.
And he's
Yeah,
close to
dude.
them. That's it. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, dude. It looks like this is for real. Matt, dude, please. I appreciate you being on the show to give your first response and reaction. Tell me, what does this mean to boxing as a whole? And tell me, what is Bud's legacy for you in the ring?
I mean, immediate
Those
reaction.
are heavy questions, I know, dude.
Yeah,
If
immediate
you
reaction
could,
is crazy. I mean, shout out to socials, because this is gonna be a great clip or reaction to this. But I mean, Bud Crawford, there was nothing else for him to prove, bro. He did everything that he sought out to do. 3-time undisputed, 4 or 5 multi-weight champion.
Yep.
He
4-time.
proved all the doubters, like in the video, he proved all the doubters wrong. He has a hell of a resume. He went out on top. He went out beating the face of boxing. He beat his adversary. Bud Crawford is proved to be one of the best fighters of this generation, if not the best fighter. He's in that conversation right next to Floyd Mayweather, bro. It's impossible not to link them together. And the debate had already sparked of who would win that fight. So Terrence Crawford, like I said, Terrence Crawford is going to go down as one of the best fighters of the generation. And he's in an argument for an all-time fighter on that top 10 list of them. And man, the accolades, what he did for his hometown in Omaha and the people around that area. Like I said, how he conquered, not only, take what you want from the Spence fight in the situation. The fight was made, he won that fight. Moves up, beats, has a questionable fight where people think Canelo, like I thought Canelo was gonna stop him, and he beats Canelo Alvarez in a convincing way and in one of the best fights he's had, in one of the biggest stages possible. To do what he did, the way he did it, I mean, hats off to you. As much as a Bud hater as I was, bro, hats off to Terrence Crawford. I mean, there was nothing else for him to do, especially with what was rumored that he wanted, either whether it was, he wants 100 million for the fight. And remember, not even like a couple months ago, Carpenter was saying he had a date in March. So, were these just a bunch of, you know, ways to get people off the scent? And he was like, you know what? There's nothing else for me to do. And then if you look at the future for Terrence Crawford outside of a Canelo rematch, what more was there for him to do, bro? It's not like he, anybody was really super interested in that Janabek fight. It was gonna be another accolade. What nobody saw him fighting Lara because Lara's old. People would probably predict him win that fight too. And I don't see more than a few $1,000,000 coming from that Boots fight. So to me, I mean, all the chips were in Crawford's hand. And he said, you know what, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. But he had that right. He had every right to do that. And shout out to Bud, man. That's a hell of a career, bro. Hell of a career.
Here's what I'll say. First and foremost, it's a smart move for a couple of reasons, I think. But ultimately, what this does is allow him to kind of like let the dust settle. If he ever does want to come back, it'll be in a situation where we have had a clear winner between Verge and Boots, which looks like that's legit going to be next, possibly. You know what I'm saying? Go for it.
Something.
Go for it.
I'm just gonna throw this out there because it came to me right away because you just said it, right? Say he goes away, right? And in about a year's time, he comes back, and we get that exhibition. Bud Crawford, Floyd Mayweather,
Ooh,
fantasy exhibition
yikes,
on Netflix.
bro.
That could be big
That
money.
could very well be exactly what the plan is. Because I can't.
But that's just me thinking right away. Don't take that as gospel, everybody. But that's just like, what else could there be? Yeah, that's
yeah,
like
dude.
as expected as it was. It's still so shocking, right? To like think like he had the work, and there's gonna be people on the media side, especially that are gonna be like, oh, he won this big fight to become the face of boxing just to retire and go home. But like, what else really was there? There's gonna be those people. I don't think it's a boot. Like you can't say he ducked Boots because how much money was really coming from that Boots fight, and how many people actually favored him to lose to Boots. Like if you were to draw the line right now, Terrence Crawford's probably the heavy favorite in that Boots fight, no matter how you draw it up or how you try to place it up. But man, yeah.
No, I agree with you, dude. I really do. I agree with you. I think not only is a potential Floyd match a possibility, but I think a Pacquiao fight is a possibility within the realm of an exhibition, right? I don't believe that Pacquiao is best served right now trying to take belts off of the, youngest, softest cherries out there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think his time is best spent that way, right? Winning belts that he has no chance that he's going to legitimately defend against real threats. That said, if it was ever going to be a situation where they were going to fight, that is a realm in which they fight. And by the way, that's a realm in which I think Terrence Crawford ends up having more chips on his side of the table than any other time in the history of their, when they would have fought. Obviously, he's a bigger name today, but look, all I know is that this dude had one of the best performances in a fight that the majority of boxing assumed he would lose. And whether it was based on Canelo, not being, him anymore or whatever, or whether it was just being Crawford being that special.
Yeah.
I don't think it even matters. I really don't. I think that it just, and I see Mex, and I know, as the old Spence fan, he's going to say things like this, but I think that adds to Crawford's legacy, right? Mex says,
does that matter if he won those fights convincingly?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. And he says his legacy is he never had a mega fight as an A side. He's a bum forever. And I know like he's being joking to a degree, but I'll say this. That to me means more. That means that every time he went into one of those big fights, he was expected to lose. He wasn't anyone's bet. The ability to remain on top, even as an underdog, right? Because what do we respect? Floyd more in a situation where he picked and choose at which points in people's careers he was going to fight them. A lot of times waiting until much older. And I'm not trying to even poke holes in Floyd's resume or, I feel like that whole conversation's just past due. But ultimately, Terrence Crawford is the antithesis of Floyd Mayweather, right? This is a guy who wasn't supposed to be the guy and ended up doing it regardless. Do you think it is, what do you think, how do you think the fans are going to receive this? You think people are going to be more disappointed?
Oh, it's going to be just like I was saying, bro. There's going to be one side that are going to be appreciative of his career.
Yeah. You did say that, right?
And I'm
You're
talking
so
about
right about
outside of his fans, outside of the bud tenders that went out to protect him and praise everything that he did, but like
Sure.
people that eventually will be like appreciative of how his run wrapped up, the challenges that he took on, the doubts, and there's going to be those people that are alive right now, telling you that he ducks boots, he never defends undisputed, this, that, and the third. It's he is a hot button topic no matter what he does. And there's going to be people pulling you in each direction. But to bro, I mean, what? 38 years old, 42-0. Not much more for him to do. Not much more for him to prove. Like, sure, we would have liked that Boots fight, bro. But I think letting the time go by, accepting it for what it is, I'm perfectly fine with Bud Crawford retiring right now, on top of the game, retired number one pound for pound, proven commodity in the sport. And
I
now we got to look at what happens. What does Canelo do? Because if
I was
he's
going
already
to ask you that
if
next.
he's already
I was
bowed
gonna ask
out
you
of
that
that
next.
May date, what does he do? Where do the belts scatter? I mean, what happens next?
Yeah, I agree. That's a big factor because you lose to Crawford. I can't imagine you're in a hurry to fight Bivol Beterbiev or, of course, Benavidez.
I mean, they're gonna
Like, I
fight
can't
each other.
imagine. Yeah. Of course. That's what I'm saying, though. It's like you're in this position as Canelo where I don't think that there's a fight out there that hits all the right marks, right? A guy that's, high enough of a name, but not as dangerous. I don't know. I mean, he might just sail away too, but I don't know if he could go out after that loss. I really don't know. That's a career defining loss, right? You can't take anything away from Canelo. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, of course, but
Oh yeah, I mean,
it was solidified who the better fighter of the era was, I think.
his legacy, no matter what happens, is set. He's gonna be known as either the greatest Mexican fighter or one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time. First ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. Two-time undisputed at a weight class. Like, bro, like think about it. There's three undisputed champions in his weight classes, and he's two of them. So it's like,
damn, bro.
I mean,
That's
come on,
crazy.
there's nothing else that you can take away from Canelo Alvarez. I mean, at this point, he's got. It's like you said. There's not a lot of, and I mean, does a Hamza Shiraz fight interest you? Does a Diego Pacheco fight interest anybody? Chris
Certainly
Eubank.
not after this
Chris
past
Eubank
one.
after a beatdown at Wembley, it would look cool, but would that interest anybody?
No,
Hard to
like,
see what he does
okay,
next.
for me and you, obviously, like putting our hardcore boxing hats on, right? Let's take our show hats off for a second, right? Let's put our actual like fans of boxing hat on. Of course, you want to see Crawford Fedora. Of course, you would want to see Crawford Conor Ben. I mean, probably not on the top of your list, but at some point, you would want to see Terrence Crawford mix it up in that junior middleweight division, I think.
Yeah.
And there are fights with Verge and Boots that are crossover type fights. And if they can, settle it between themselves and one of them emerge, perhaps then Bud is feeling like, okay, well, maybe now this is a good passing of the torch type of fight, showing how great I am. I could beat even these young guys that they said would always beat me, blah, 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 that I was running from. So the narratives are there for him to come back. But I think that beating Canelo, there isn't another high than that. It's like, do you even want to see him come back at that point? You know what I mean?
Well, it's not only that, bro, but like what? It's like Super Max was saying in the comments, what mega fight is left out there for him? What? Off the names you just said, Conor Ben, Virgil, Boots, Fundora. Are any of those mega fights that you want?
None of them are.
Do any of those fights fill up a stadium like him and Spence, and him and
Yeah,
Canelo.
exactly. That's why we can't have this conversation with our, intelligent hats or rational hats on.
I
We
know,
can't
that's
have
what
this
I'm saying.
conversation because we know they're not legit.
Those,
They're not
those are
serious.
names people know, but it's like, and then not only that, like, what does that do for Crawford? Like, what do those wins mean for him? Are any of those wins bigger than the last 2 out of 3 wins he just got?
No,
Like
no, I don't think so.
maybe boots. But at that, it's like, that's just him beating a young guy for the sake of beating a young guy.
Yeah, I think that's probably an accurate way of putting that. I ultimately though, like again, this is a perfect time for Bud to leave. This is the most murkiest future boxing's ever had, right? He got a bag, but let me ask you though, what does this say, or does this change in any way how you felt about Bud and his decision to forego the WBC fees? Almost in what I felt was like a protest that I actually agreed with.
I mean, no, because I still agree with the stance that he took, and at the same time, it still worked out in his favor. He said, "Fuck you and your belt. Take it. Here you go. I'm
Yeah, I'm not
retired."
fighting again. And I said that. I remember the day of the show when we did it, and it was live, and I said, this would be a situation where if he continues to fight, then there would be, you could obviously have different arguments saying, right or wrong. But I
Yeah.
felt like if he was going to retire, if he wasn't going to fight again, why would you pay the fees? Because Matt, you've owned your own business, and you have a lot of business and economic understanding at that level. So like, I'll put it to you in this way. It's like when you're trying to get a better tax return, or get write-offs for your LLC or your business. Like, there are aspects where you're trying to manipulate, your best outcome financially, right? Have people tax you as little as possible, right? That's every single rich man and woman's entire MO. They live their entire life, the ultra wealthy, just skirting taxes. And I'm not even saying that that's wrong. The laws are there, I think sometimes they go beyond those, but all I'm saying is that I don't blame Crawford for doing the same. It's like, dude, I'm going to retire. I'm not ready to announce my retirement. Maybe he was cool enough to give Cena his, weekend before he announced it.
Hey, he gave him a
But
couple
ultimately, if that was the
days.
plan,
What's up with that?
he gave him a couple days, bro. That was hilarious.
All right, enough of that shit. But I mean,
Yeah. Nah, it's crazy. It is. Yeah, I can't believe that. Oh, wait, I can't make that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, dude. This is crazy. This is really, really crazy, honestly. I feel like boxing is not
boxing's gonna be split on this one.
Yeah,
This
for
one
sure.
will dominate the headlines till that sacrifice on Friday.
And here's the thing. I don't think Crawford owes boxing anything at all. Okay. I don't think he does. But
No,
that
not that
said,
one.
though, I'll say this. This isn't a move that helps boxing at all. And again, I'm not saying Crawford has to help boxing, but it's like, dude, you take
What else
away
does
the
he have to do?
count. No, he has nothing to do, right? This is like a passing of the torch situation. Do you keep fighting? That has nothing to do with Crawford. It's not his prerogative to give back to the sport in any other way, in shape or form, than what he's already done. This guy's opened up a youth programs in his town. He's built gyms, expanded them. He's done a lot for boxing, at the community level, real shit, right? So like, forgoing $1 million enterprise like the WBC, skirting them on a couple 100,000 or a few 100,000, whatever. I don't really give a fuck, honestly.
I mean, it's for anything like that, bro. I mean, it's what other championship do you pay fees for, bro? And even if, like, say, like, I get cut, but say, like, you were playing for the Dodgers and they cut you from the team the day after the World Series. Well, guess what? I'm still a fucking World Series champion. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Terrence Crawford, no matter what belt you take away from the equation, Terrence Crawford is the man at 168 pounds because he beat the man. Undisputed champion, the guy at 168. There's nothing you can take away from him in that scenario. Yes, you need the belts to be undisputed, but I just need Canelo to say I beat the man. And that's really what it was about. Pound for pound, number one. probably going to be the best. Yeah, probably going to be the best fight anybody has as their last fight in their career. Because there's no like, I mean, look, you can be like, Floyd and take an easy one and fight McGregor and Berto. Or you can end up like Manny and just continue to keep fighting because you're chasing that big legacy win at the end of your career.
Word. Well said. There's one final topic I have, and it's going back to the Sean Zittel stuff real quick. I have it pulled up. I have it ready, so it won't take much longer. This
that kinda
is
dominated what we were talking about. That was just
it
so
did.
crazy.
I mean, that's huge news, bro. Huge news. So
Now,
Yeah.
I say all this to say, in talking about all this, I've said it's taken my eye off the ball in the ring a little bit. I picked more fights wrong this year because my heart's really been thinking about all this overarching stuff. But guess what, Sean? When I said some fighters privately told me, "Hey, I'm not in the Dana," I said it publicly. Okay, so what am I putting me and my family through stress? Making less money than I used to fight in this battle when none of the fighters seem to care. Why am I talking about this foreign influence? Because sports and entertainment, as we're $40 trillion in debt, are some of the last things we have in this country of any value, as we've shipped all our manufacturing overseas and all that. Nobody cares. I'm getting sick of me hearing my voice about this stuff. So since nobody cares and people are sick of hearing it and all that, I say this to say, going forward in 2026, I'm going to thin the parameters of my discussion. I'm done talking. I've said what I've had to say about it. As Cam and Mace would say, it is what it is. Let the chips fall where they may. You know how I felt about it. You know I've spoken on it. It is what it is. And let things just play out now. But in 26, you're going to see me pull back from this a little bit. And again, I had that. I think it's still a good pitch. You should try to talk to Jeff Bezos, all four of you, see if you can get him to invest further in the sport.
So that was Sean and his rationalization that he's gotten, very little public support in his endeavor to hold TKO and Dana White and Turkey accountable to what, changes may be occurring in boxing. Matt, I want to ask you how you feel about this, and I take it a certain way, right? I know Sean Zittel. I mean, I don't know him well. Like, we're not friends or anything, but I know his work. I know his work probably better than most in terms of like I've been behind the boards to see like what his raw footage looks like and his style and interviewing, and I've learned a lot from him, dude. Like, this is a guy that I respect a lot. I know he went to actual journalism school, right? Like, that wasn't me. I was an English major, I fucking went through the liberal arts degree and had no, idea I'd ever venture into this journalism gig. And so I understand what he's saying. I do. And that's the reason I mean, maybe that's not really the reason that I'm not, a real big boxing journalist today, but I can tell you that it is one of the reasons that I just didn't play ball as well as, everyone else. I wasn't keen on not saying things that I felt, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of stuff I've seen in this sport, that I could never report that would hold me accountable and liable, that would be, damaging. This sport is not it's not great, especially in Texas where I've covered it a lot. A lot of gross shit takes place. Having Sean essentially throw in the towel is the best way I could, really say it. Feels like a defeat. I mean, this is a guy who has a platform that's far out my own and most people's in the sport of boxing, and to suggest that, well, the boxers aren't, but that's how boxers get paid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much easier, or not easier, but it's the journalist's job. Let's be honest. To keep it a buck. It's not the fighter's job to play politics, right? They may need TKO in a way that is the only way they're going to support their family. And yet, look at what happened with the UFC. Years and years of nobody really talking about that, the way that the money worked and what fighters' pay was relative to everything else. And so all I'm saying is that it doesn't feel like there's any reason to even believe in the sport of boxing if the best of us have given up. And don't get me wrong, like, I'd never judge, like, he's getting shit with his family, like, none of that's fair, dude. I'd probably pull but the desire to want to continue to cover this filthy fucking sport, knowing just how filthy it is, knowing that the way the UFC works, they give people like the fucking Nelk boys all access and real journalists get left out in the dark, and this whole thing that I skipped with Sean and getting into shit with Terrence Crawford's PR person. She put this fucking comment like, oh, the level of journalism in boxing has just been so lowered. That's not true. That's not true. The truth is that the PR machine, the propaganda machine, that's the thing that's overhauled the combat sports world. Okay. The thing that's overhauled the combat sports world is narratives created by the people at the top. So the truth has never really come out, right? The people that were on the beat, I mean, most of them are gone or dead or just been exiled from the sport. It's the people that have to continue to play ball are the only ones with this access. Again, I understand where he's coming from, but it's like to have the moral aptitude to recognize something that could be potentially wrong and to be in a position where you can make a difference and then suggest it's not worth it to you any longer. I mean, dude, I don't know. I don't want to say something super ugly here. I really don't. Because again, I respect the shit out of Sean, but it's like, if he doesn't give a fuck, then who's going to give a fuck? Right? Like what? Who's going to give a fuck?
I don't think that's the case with what Sean is saying. And I think that what I took away from that clip, especially at the end there, he realized he was, I mean, look in that room around him. Sean Porter is just, and then the guy next to him is just on his phone. Sean Zittel realized he was fighting this fight by himself, and he knew he wasn't going to win.
But is it most likely because he's the smartest guy in that room? And I don't mean that in terms of like intelligence or anything. I mean that in terms of knowing exactly what the fuck is like. I don't know how much Sean Porter understands about the UFC model. I don't know how much he knows. You know what I'm saying? Like, all I'm saying is the person with the most knowledge in the room shouldn't be punished for having the most knowledge in the room.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he's the only guy that stood up and raised his hand.
You're right. One of the few. There's a few. Jake's
problem
out there. Jake's a big proponent of this as well.
He said we need to fight this, and he ran right to the front and realized nobody was standing behind him. And that's
he went straight. Like, he was Will Ferrell streaking, and nobody went with them with their green hats. Nobody brought the green hat.
Nobody brought their green hat. He was the only guy out there standing in front of the tanks, and he thought he had the army behind him, and they didn't.
Yeah, so that's the biggest problem is that back in our days, like TBV, the hardcore presence, it was there. Okay, it was there. And today it's so fractured, right? Like people just go on and say clickbait shit and they get all their fucking hits and their likes and their clicks. And meanwhile, you have a generation of fans following these guys that don't know shit about the sport, that have never once tried to identify or rationalize how it actually works. You know what I mean? Like this whole thing, like I've seen so many people, being like, oh, well, WBC should have gotten paid because that's the way it works. Why? Why does it work that way? Should it work that way? Is there a better way that it could work? These are the questions that have not been asked for so long that now we're at this point where a massive play is being made and there is no way to fight it. There's no way. We're just going to let it happen. And here's the thing. I don't know if there's anything we could do other than the big four uniting. But it's like you said, Matt, they were part of the problem in the first place. So
I don't even think now that like I said, looking at his statement, it's not, he's not trying to unite them together. He's trying to unite them behind him.
Yes.
He'll be the voice. He'll be the guy that takes the arrows and the bullets. I just need you guys to get behind me. And it's hard for all four of them to just get together to do something about it because, I mean, Riot of Season's all over everything, bro. How at the end of the day, I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds me. What does Sean Zittel do for Matchroom? What does he do for Golden Boy? What does he do for Top Rank? Sure, he's promoting, let's all just go to Amazon, but what does he do for the PBC? He criticizes them just as much as he does this.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they're gonna look at him like the UFC looked at Ariel after what he did at UFC 200. He's just a reporter. Fuck him. I mean, look, Mike Coppinger got caught by the ring. And who owns the ring? So
Mhm.
what is the point? And when Dan
I mean, you had
Rayfield,
Max
Dan
Kellerman
Rayfield got
giving.
bought by ESPN, and Top Rank was over there. So it's like
Yeah, I mean,
there's
like
no what's the word I'm looking for? It's not credibility, but
not credible.
it's
It's like you have to have like a not an alliance. That's not a fair word either.
you got to have some
There's an
form of impartialness in your business and in
absolutely,
your reporting.
but there's an understanding that exists
Yeah.
between promoter and writer, promoter and journalist, and that
Don't bring the dog in here.
that has never subsided. There's still people that fight that good fight, and I don't know, dude. Look, at the end of the day, I wouldn't feel the way I felt about this if I didn't have a huge, massive amount of respect for
Yeah.
Sean Zittel, and I'm not even
And I agree with you on
specifically
that.
talking
I
what he's
can
done in
agree with
boxing.
you.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah, his mind and his heart is in the right place, and I
Agreed.
completely agree with you. But I also see why he realizes he doesn't have enough manpower to take on not only TKO but Turkey and the Saudi backing that they have. It's impossible for one man to do. And
Well said.
I see why he said, "I'm not gonna be the only one. I'm not gonna be screaming for your life to be." It's like anybody else in regular life, bro. I'm not gonna be screaming for your life to get better if you don't want your own life to get better. I'm not gonna
Ooh.
help you do better if you don't want to help yourself.
Yo, well said, bro. Well said. Oh, fuck. Listen, man, that is our time for the day, bro. I want to thank you for sure. You know that you're more than welcome to clip whatever you want. I got a few ideas here written down too, so maybe I just get back with you and make sure. Hey, there it is, champ. Hell yeah. I started clipping shit too. Fuck, you know what? And I wanted to put them on today and I forgot. I started clipping like some like stuff. I found this website. I'll send it to you, and you can like clip, and it works for StreamYard and basically for everything. So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, but yeah, give out the socials real quick. And
Yo, for sure, check us out. We got a heavy weekend coming up this weekend. YouTube.com/talking about radio. Talking about with me, Matt Garces. We talk about sports. We talk about wrestling. We're going to start talking about life and other segments coming up. Big weekend this weekend, starting on Friday. You got Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua, and also the start of the college football playoffs. Alabama Crimson Tide takes on the Oklahoma Sooners down in Norman. So that's going to be a good game to watch.
Who you
Also,
got?
we're going to follow up on Saturday with the NFL doubleheader, college football continuing through there, and the rest of the NFL season. And while getting into some basketball, Mario, did you see how the Spurs beat the Thunder last
That was a
night?
huge game.
That
That was a huge,
massive.
huge game,
Wemby,
man. And Wemby went off. They did a really good job of making the tournament matter.
like
That
Thunder is
first
really,
year
really
was
good.
terrible.
The Thunder is like really super, really good, but
Of
Wemby,
course.
man, and it's a lot of talk right now. But if they can pull off that Giannis trade to get him to San Antonio,
That would be crazy. That
Twin
would be
Towers all over
crazy.
again, bro.
But yeah, we were watching that game, which was far more exciting than the fucking Badoo Jack fight. But yeah, let me tell you, dude, you're doing such a good job. You got a good panel, you got a good structure. I'm really liking the show. I think it's got a lot of promise. And
yeah.
it looks like you're getting a lot of love on TikTok and stuff. So
But yeah,
keep it up, big dog.
Yeah. TikTok.com.
Yeah. Hey, but that
Matt
means you and I got to get together first of all, real quick, so we could decide on like a weekly, like specific show,
Yeah.
that we could run together.
But yeah, YouTube, like I said, YouTube.com, talking about radio, talking about with Matt Garces. Yeah, I got my, like I said, college football, basketball coming up. We're gonna have a 2-3 day show, and then
Nice.
I'm gonna have next week. Like I said, me and you can set up our schedule, but for sure next Monday will be my year-end review and rewards for the sport of professional wrestling.
Nice.
AEW, TNA, WWE, CMLL, AAA. We're gonna talk about it all.
I can't miss that.
And yeah, man, like I said, appreciate you, all our friends over here at Infighting FX. Again, shout out to you for letting me come on, bro.
Hell yeah, bro. I appreciate you for real, for real. Everybody else, Infighting FX, all platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, IG, and TikTok. And we'll be back tomorrow talking Logan Paul and Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. And a reminder, we will be live on Friday with the watch along. we're gonna see if this man can last it or not. Does he make it, Pat? Does he make it through the 8, Matt?
Nah, I think he's only going 3, bro. I think you can. If
3.
you're Anthony Joshua, you can only allow him to go 3.
Very good point. Very good point.
That's coming out. I think he's getting into Jake's head, but I'll let you talk about that tomorrow, man.
Champ,
Other
you're the
than that,
champ.
go
All right.
Houston, baby. We're coming up.
Uh oh. He's making it. He's making the fix. All right, champ. Until tomorrow, we'll see y'all. Peace.